On the eve of our struggle for independence, a man who might have been one of the greatest among the founding fathers, Dr. Joseph Warren, president of the Massachusetts Congress, said to his fellow Americans, "Our country is in danger, but not to be despaired of. On you depend the fortunes of America. You are to decide the important question upon which rests the happiness and the liberty of millions yet unborn. Act worthy of yourselves." Well, I believe we, the Americans of today, are ready to act worthy of ourselves, ready to do what must be done to ensure happiness and liberty for ourselves, our children, and our children's children. From time to time, we've been tempted to believe that society has become too complex to be managed by self-rule, that government by an elite group is superior to government for, by, and of the people. We are a nation that has a government, not the other way around. And this makes us special among the nations of the earth. Our government has no power except that granted it by the people. It is made up of men and women who raise our food, patrol our streets, man our mines and factories, teach our children, keep our homes, and heal us when we're sick. Professionals, industrialists, shopkeepers, clerks, cabbies, and truck drivers. They are, in short, we the people. Their patriotism is quiet but deep. Their values sustain our national life. With the idealism and fair play which are the core of our system and our strength, we can have a strong and prosperous America at peace with itself and the world. So with all the creative energy at our command, let us begin an era of national renewal. Let us renew our determination, our courage, and our strength. And let us renew our faith and our hope. It is time for us to realize that we're too great a nation to limit ourselves to small dreams. We will again be the exemplar of freedom and a beacon of hope for those who do not now have freedom. We are a nation under God, and I believe God intended for us to be free.
formerly Armistice Day, is the anniversary of the ending of World War I.
Following World War II, the name of the holiday was changed to Veterans Day to honor those in all American wars.
Since then, it has evolved to primarily be a time of honoring living veterans who have served in the military during wartime or peacetime.
The official Veterans Day poster for 2015 proclaims, honoring all those who serve in times of war and in times of peace. Today we celebrate and honor you, veterans, for all that you have done for our country. You have devoted time away from your family for months at a time. You may have even put your life on the line for us. I am proud to live in a country that's free, and that's all because of veterans like you.
We welcome all of our veterans and guests here today and hope that you will be honored by our presentation.
Throughout the program today, we would like to reflect on 3 great patriotic writings in American history to remind us all of how great this nation is and the reason you, our honored guests, have given so selflessly to protect it.
The first writing may be the most famous 52 words in American history, even though it was drafted as an afterthought upon the writing of the Constitution of the United States.
The preamble is an opening statement to the United States Constitution and explains the reasons why the framers of the Constitution made our government a republic.
The preamble to the Constitution. We, the people of the United States,
all the citizens of the United States,
in order to form a more perfect union.
They recognized that the systems they had in place were not perfect, so they set about to form a stronger union.
Establish justice.
To determine rights and administrate laws that are just and fair to all citizens.
Ensure domestic tranquility.
They aim to achieve a state of peace within our land.
Provide for the common defense.
The ability to defend the rights and lives of the citizens of the United States.
Promote the general welfare.
The well-being of the citizens would be taken care of as well as possible by the federal government.
And secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity.
To protect the country's hard-earned rights for liberty now and the generations to come.
To ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America.
This phrase powerfully states that it's the people who wrote the document and the people who give the country its power.
In his Veterans Day proclamation last year, President Obama stated, "Since the birth of our nation, American patriots have stepped forward to serve our country and defend our way of life. With honor and distinction, generations of servicemen and women have taken up arms to win our independence, preserve our union, and secure our freedom. These heroes have put their lives on the line so that we might live in a world that is safer, freer, and more just, and we owe them a profound debt of gratitude. Thank you, veterans, for assuring that we have the freedom to live in a country that is run by a democracy."
second patriotic writing we would like to reflect on is the Pledge of Allegiance to the Flag, originally composed by Francis Bellamy in 1892 and formally adopted by Congress as the official pledge for the United States in 1942.
The following was spoken by the late Red Skelton on his television program in 1969 and was updated today to incorporate the changes to our country and the pledge since that time.
Here, Mr. Skelton relates the story of his teacher, Mr. Laswell, who felt his students had come to think of the Pledge of Allegiance as merely something to recite in his class each day. He decided to explain the meaning of the pledge to his class. We will have our own MJH teacher, Mr. Kerner, perform his interpretation.
I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all my worldly goods to give without pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion. To the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there is respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. Of the united, that means we have all come together. States of America, individual communities that have united into 50 states, 50 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that is love for country. And to the republic for which it stands, republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people. One nation under God. One nation meaning so blessed by God. Indivisible, incapable of being divided. With liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. Thank you.
We thank you, veterans, for protecting our flag and reminding us of what it stands for. Please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Covington High School ROTC. Gentlemen, please remove your hats, and everyone please remain standing until the color guard exits the hall. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The final patriotic writing that we will reflect on today reminds us of the tremendous sacrifices men and women have made for our country. It is the story in words to the Star-Spangled Banner.
Sadly, when the Star-Spangled Banner is performed at a ball game or event, it is very common to see people not paying attention. They don't have their hand over their heart or bother to remove their caps. They are chatting with a friend and not even looking at the flag or engaged with what's going on.
In some sense, by their actions, they are not only disrespecting the national anthem, they are disrespecting the men and women of the armed forces who have served for our country.
Somehow, I think if these people really knew the story behind the writing of the national anthem, they would stand at attention and boldly sing with gratitude in their heart for the sacrifices that have been made to maintain our freedom.
There was a lawyer once. His name was Francis Scott Key. He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in most hymnals throughout our churches. It's called the National Anthem. It is our song as an American. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand in our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. Let me tell you a story. Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore. The colonies were engaged in vicious conflict with the mother country, Britain. Because of this conflict and the protractedness of it, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners. And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and they said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners. They said, we want to send a man out to discuss this with you. They were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000 yards offshore. And they said, we want to send a man by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and negotiate to see if we can make a mutual exchange. On the appointed day, in a rowboat, he went out to this boat and he negotiated with the British officials. And they reached a conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis. Francis Scott Key, jubilant with the fact that he'd been successful, went down below in the boats, and what he found was a cargo hold full of humanity, men. And he said, men, I've got news for you tonight. You're free. He said, tonight I have negotiated successfully your return to the colonies. He said, you'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, out of your chains. As he went back up on board to arrange for their passage to the shore, the admiral came and he said, we have a slight problem. He said, we will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic after tonight. It won't matter. And Francis Scott Key said, what do you mean? He said, well, Mr. Key, he said, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies. Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so much of, or you see that fort right over there, Fort Henry? He said, we're going to remove it from the face of the earth. He said, how are you going to do that? He said, if you will, scan the horizon of the sea. And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, that's the entire British war fleet. He said, all of the gunpowder, all of the armament is being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours. He said, the war is over. These men would be free anyway. He said, you can't shell that fort. He said, that's a large fort. He said, it's full of women and children. He says, it's predominantly not a military fort. They said, don't worry about it. They said, we've left them a way out. And he said, what's that? He said, do you see that flag way up on the rampart? He said, we have told them that if they will lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately. And we'll know that they've surrendered, and you'll now be under British rule. Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen. And they said, how many ships? He said, hundreds. The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch. As twilight began to fall, and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed. He says the sound was deafening. There were so many guns that there were no reliefs. He said it was absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit. And he says from down below, all he could hear the men, the prisoners, saying was, "Tell us where the flag is. What have they done with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us." 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling, every time the bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag in the illuminated red glare of that bomb, and Francis Scott Key would report down to the men below, "It's still up. It's not down." The admiral came and he said, "Your people are insane." He said, "What's the matter with them?" He said, "Don't they understand this is an impossible situation?" Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said, "The thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees." The admiral said, "We have now instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag down." He said, "We don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that." But he said, "Now we're about to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that point." Francis Scott Key said the barrage was unmerciful. All that he could hear was the men down below praying. The prayer, "God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it." Sunrise came. He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough. There stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle, but the flag was still at the top. Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort Henry to see what had happened. And what he'd found had happened was that that flagpole and that flag had suffered repetitious direct hits. And when it had fallen, but men, fathers, who knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground, although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up humanly until they died. Their bodies were removed and others took their place. Francis Scott Key said what held that flagpole in place at that unusual angle were patriots' bodies. He penned the song, "Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming. O'er the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that the flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet fly and wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?" The debt was demanded. The price, it was paid.
Would everyone please stand and boldly sing with renewed fervor and gratitude our national anthem? attention to the band as they perform America.
Veterans. They are men and women who for many reasons don the uniform of our country to stand between freedom and tyranny.
To take the sword of justice in defense of the liberties we hold dear.
To preserve peace and to calm the winds of war. Your mothers and fathers, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, your neighbors, the shop owners in your community, your teachers, your favorite athlete, a Hollywood movie star, and your political leaders. Each one could be a veteran.
But as much as they may differ by gender, race, age, national origin, or profession, they share a common love for our great nation.
A love great enough to put their very lives on the line if need be, to guarantee the way of life we enjoy today and to secure that way of life for tomorrow's generations.
The title of a veteran must be earned. It is a title endowed by a grateful nation on citizens whose shoulders were broad enough to carry the weight of our common defense.
It is a title that speaks of courage and sacrifice in the face of mortal danger.
It is a title that speaks of compassion and heartbreak in the wake of the terrible cost of war.
And it is a title that speaks of love of country and of a belief in America's goodness and our strength.
If we look to the answer as to why for so many years we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth, it was because here in this land we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. The sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery, with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David, they add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom. Each one of those markers is a monument to the kind of hero I spoke of earlier. Their lives ended in places called Belleau Wood, the Argonne, Omaha Beach, Salerno, and halfway around the world on Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Pork Chop Hill, the Chosin Reservoir, and in 100 rice paddies and jungles of a place called Vietnam. Under one such marker lies a young man, Martin Treptow, who left his job in a small-town barber shop in 1917 to go to France with the famed Rainbow Division. There on the Western Front, he was killed trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We're told that on his body was found a diary. On the flyleaf, under the heading, "My Pledge," he had written these words: "America must win this war. Therefore I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone." We must realize that no arsenal or no weapon in the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. It is a weapon that we as Americans do have. Let that be understood by those who practice terrorism and prey upon their neighbors. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever. We are Americans.
Dear veteran, it is almost Veterans Day, which is also known as the time to honor you for what you have done for our beautiful country. If you have fought in World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, Korean War, or any current conflict, we are thankful for your service. It takes a lot of courage to join the military and fight for what you think is right. I can't even comprehend how amazing you are. I am so lucky to live in a country where there are men and women that protect all of us. On Veterans Day, I will be thinking of you and all the other people who love the United States enough to fight for its rights and freedom.
At this time, we would like to recognize anyone here that has served or is currently serving in the military. When you hear your branch's song, please stand.
We would also like to recognize those in our community who put their lives on the line every day as first responders.
If you are a first responder, would you please stand now to be recognized?
We were remember those that have paid the ultimate price by giving their life for our freedom.
Please join us in a moment of silence, followed by the playing of Taps by Ethan Chilton.
Finally, we would like to take a moment to remember those that are currently deployed and serving. We pray for their continued safety and quick return home. Riley Kittrell and Morgan Kane will share their writings about this.
On a cool and crisp October morning, the kind when autumn prods and pokes the leaves until they become golden, Molly was flying her kite. Its rainbow-colored tail floated in the wind like a bird. Suddenly, her memories flooded in, all at once, crushing her with their huge burden. She remembered the day her dad left for Iraq. They were flying a kite, the same one she was flying now. He made a promise to take care of her mother. Then he drove away. She still remembered the sting of the tears glistening in her eyes. She was 8 then, now she was 10. Once more, the tears came. Suddenly, a bright pink kite floated up next to hers, boldly challenging it. "Hey!" she exclaimed, upset. But as she turned to meet the intruder, her anger melted away. Now back from his journey, the face she loved dearest was gleaming in front of her. She screamed. It was her dad.
They wait and wait every day for their brave soldier that is away. Wishing she was by her side, Mommy's little girl was becoming her bride. While her children sleep through the night, they dream of their mommy far off in the fight. Even though they are miles apart, they always believe they're together at heart. As the end of the war is coming near, everyone sheds a happy tear. After months and months in another land, their brave soldiers back home again.
When the show choir finishes performing the next song, we would like for anyone who has an immediate family member or friend that is currently deployed away from home to come place their name on a candle in the front or the back of the gym. And we're going to place these here at MJH to remind us during the next few months to remember our troops and their families.
Are you safe? Are you happy? Are you doing okay today? I'm hoping you are fine.
We would like all of the men and women who have served or are currently serving to know that you're not forgotten. We appreciate you.
We understand that freedom is not free. It comes with a high price, and even today continues to cost many men and women discomfort, pains, sacrifice, and sometimes their lives.
We know that this is the land of the free because it's the home of the brave.
The American flag is something that tells a story of freedom that rings like a bell. I'm proud of America because it is great. I am proud of America because it's my faith. I respect the veterans, first responders, and all because they will catch us if we fall. Now that you know that I'm very proud, go shout out and say it loud. We are proud Americans in every way. We are proud Americans together today.